this is Kevin Benedict, SMAC Analyst with Cognizant, and SMAC is for Social, Mobile, Analytics, and Cloud. I have the wonderful opportunity to be here today live in London with Ved Sen, who's running the mobility practice here in Europe for Cognizant. I wanted just to ask you today, Ved, what are you seeing different in 2013, or what are you hearing different in 2013 than you did in 2012 around enterprise mobility?
A couple of things, Kevin. I think the first thing that we see is how the size of commitment has gone up significantly. So when last year people said we're going to try a project, it meant something in terms of the size of investment. That number has doubled comfortably and more in the last 6 months.
Okay.
Now when people say we're going to try something in mobility, it's certainly a six-figure sum, and so that's become the starting point for a lot of people from an investment point of view. The other big thing, and arguably the most important story of 2013, is that the landscape has shifted for CIO from how to build an app, which I think now everybody understands, to how do we manage our mobility landscape and the portfolio of apps that we've probably already built over the last 12, 18, 24 months. So the challenge that CIOs are facing include this sort of, a bunch of apps that have been built by the business or by the IT team, all of which may have used different vendors, different technologies and platforms, and now they all have to be maintained, integrated, fixed, supported, and that's a challenge for CIOs.
Absolutely. So what are some of the things they need to be looking at from a management perspective?
Well, what we call this sort of a freedom within a framework model. What any CIO should be putting in place today is essentially a framework that allows them to enable and foster innovation within the business, because you can't take it all back and say we're going to control everything. That's not how mobility works. Mm-hmm. So you want to encourage innovation. You want each line of business manager to go away and do the stuff that they want to do, create the next wonderful mobile app for their business. But within this innovation framework, which essentially governs things like what is the underlying technology platform you should be using, what are your security and architectural considerations that enable it to talk to our existing systems, what is your UI standard, what are perhaps your governance models in place. Once you've got that in place and you're managing that, within that framework, people can do a lot of exciting stuff. So it's like having the playground, and you are just defining that playground and the rules within which you can let the business play.
So Ved, I interviewed a gentleman named James Naftel from SAP, and he said security is not the toughest part, it's enforcing policy and governing the policies that you have in place. Are there any kind of technologies that you can, that you're offering that could help actually enforce policies?
Yeah, I would agree with that, because there are any number of security standards, and at the end of the day, there's always a trade-off in how secure do you want to be. Sitting in a room is the safest you can probably be, but that doesn't let you do all the things you want to do. So what we've got is something called TrueMobi, which is a suite of applications that include app distribution, app management, and app socialization. And the app management layer in the middle is really interesting because it allows you to take an existing application that may not have been built by yourself as an IT team or by the business. It's a third-party application, but you can wrap security around it in a way that you can control a lot of the app data, policies, governance through that wrapper. So you don't have to you don't have to tinker with the code. You don't have to unravel the app and rewrite it. But through this wrapper mechanism, you can inject sort of a security model, and you can control location. So you can geofence the application. You can define who uses the application within the organization, because it integrates with your Active Directory system, and a whole bunch of other things. Because fundamentally, while there's been a lot of excitement and interest in the past about MDM, it's not the device you really want to protect, it's the data. And what we feel is that the landscape is shifting from a device management environment to a data and application management environment, and TrueMobi allows you to manage the application.
Great. Well, Ved, I want to thank you so much for sharing your wisdom and experiences with all of us.
Thank you very much, Kevin.